Warriors! It's Coach JB, your top health and mindset coach in the world. Remember, what you believe in your heart, you think in your mind will eventually become your words and become your reality. If you can see it in your mind, eventually you can hold it right here in your hand. What you repeatedly do gets ingrained in your subconscious mind. What gets ingrained in your subconscious mind becomes an unconscious activity. And I'm so excited. It's been a couple weeks since me and Cryptocito have been able to connect. There's lots of things going on, and we are calling this DeFi Summer. You got to get ready, Warriors, for DeFi Summer. So first of all, as we always do, Cryptocito, it's been a while, so I know I was on my spiritual journey, and then we didn't get to connect last week. So first of all, this is the game. Where are you at now? What location are you in?
It's so great to see you again. I really miss those streams. I think something is missing when we don't do it.
Yeah.
So I hope from now on nothing comes in between, so that from now on we have those streams every week.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in Lisbon. I'm still here. I mean, I think we had this background the last time as well.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm still here. I've been sick. Actually, I had COVID. So I was basically out for 10 days, almost 2 weeks, and just had to also recover and take it slow, So I've been a little bit out of everything, but since a week, I'm like fully back in the business, That's the thing. Crypto is such a fast moving industry. Literally, if you're out for a week or 10 days, it's like you missed a whole year or two, right? So that's how it feels. But yeah, man, I'm back up to date now with everything, and it's great to see you, man. Tell me about your trip. I mean, that must have been there, right?
Yeah, it was great, man. So that was my second spiritual journey I've been through with shamans. And so I got to work with the same shaman that I went to Peru with. And it was pretty remarkable. To be honest with you, during my stay there, because I've gone through these experiences before, and it was profound the first time. This time it was interesting. I don't know if I've awakened to a certain level, but it didn't seem like anything happened profound during the experience. But when I came back, holy shit, man. I mean, like literally this last week, I've been getting download. I actually wrote my third book. My third book's going to be coming out. They brought us to the forbidden fruit. I'm bringing you back to the apple seed. And it really goes into crypto and understanding how people lack patience now in this world, right? So you talked about if we're gone for a week, everything moves so fast, it feels like we've missed a ton of stuff. That's just the world that we operate in now. And from what I got from it is that we are not focusing on planting seeds. We're biting from other people's apples. And that's the problem with our world right now. Steve Jobs brought us to the forbidden fruit, man, the apple. And what's happening is we're looking right at ourselves, posting, and we're looking for the answer. And the answer is looking at the mirror.
That's a fantastic analogy, because if you're in crypto, right, it's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. You get bombarded with input and information, right? Everyone's telling you, oh, that coin is going to do 100x. Oh, no, that coin. And then there's now a lot of tribalism as well, right? Where everybody thinks now to possess universal truth and imposes their personal conviction onto everybody, right? So it's the exact same thing. And I think it's also a mentality thing. Obviously, sometimes it's hard, because we're all still emotional after all, right? And it's also great, it shows that we're just human, but it's the same thing in crypto. And that's one of the key things, is to really stick to your personal research methodology. Don't listen to anybody. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to you. Don't listen to a single source of information, right? Don't even listen to Vitalik, right? Who's one of the smartest guys in crypto.
Right.
It always makes sense to research as much as possible, which means read a lot, listen to a lot of people, network with a lot of people, right? And then take personal decisions and also opinions from there. So it's a great analogy, I think, that you can replicate on the crypto industry, because there's so much noise, man, so much noise.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really learned too is that, and it goes into crypto, and I know we vibe in this type of energy. It's like, my shaman was talking to me about this, and he said, and it was so wild how I've been divinely directed to crypto. We were just talking about that. Like I had an interview with Water Over Cryptos yesterday. Water Over Crypto, I think it is. But anyways, he was talking about geometry and how a lot of people say they're divinely guided to cryptocurrency. And so one of the things that I realized too is nobody's taking anything from you. When the market collapses or goes down, nobody's taking anything from you, right? So people act like, oh my God, my life is over. Your life should not be over if your crypto portfolio goes down. If you feel that way, you really got to work on this, the heart, the gut, the mind, right? Because it's not taking anything from you, right? It's just, all it is a change in the market cycle, right? So people get so attached to the market, you know, they're in a good mood if it's doing well, they're in a horrible mood if it's doing bad. And it's about detaching yourself from the results and looking at the fundamentals, looking at the real world solve, looking at what's happening within the world. And there's so many things going on, man. And I know it's a DeFi summer. I keep hearing that too. I'm glad you brought that up as a topic because it feels like DeFi is coming back.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's the one thing, but I think at the same time, you know, a lot of people, they go into the market too fast. So they basically either over leverage their positions or they're simply overexposed to it, not just financially, but also mentally. And it's always the same thing. If you put in a lot into something, right, whatever it is, whether it's financially or mentally, and you also kind of like subconsciously have expectations, I think then it's very easy to get extremely disappointed and extremely like down, you know, in the inside. And I did a similar thing in 2017. You know, I've been through this, like a lot of, I would not say sleepless nights, but like nights where you were awake for hours and you're just like, damn, I lost so much money today. And like, oh my God, what's happening, you know?
Right.
So I think probably it depends on the character of the person, but most of us, I think, have to go through this at least once. I know you also had a lot of pain, right, in your previous career, so that's why you're so stable right now. But I think, especially as an entrepreneur or somebody who wants to have a fundamental change in his life, I think you have to go through pain first before you can really enjoy, you know, the fruits of that work, of that pain, and of that consistency also that people bring in, right? And unfortunately, a lot of people they're not consistent, right? They check pumps in crypto, and then they buy the top, they sell the bottom, and then they hate crypto, right?
Yes. Well, think about this too. You brought up a good point. Like, you know, we do fitness in our Warrior Academy. We not only do we do crypto, we do mindset, we do fitness. It's nothing like it, right? It's an ecosystem. And what I tell people during the workouts when I'm coaching them, I'm like, in order to get the best body of your life, you have to go through pain. You have to tear down the muscle. You have to actually, when you're working out, you're ripping the muscle down to build it stronger, to look better. And it's nothing different. Like you know, me and Jackie was talking about, she's in our academy, she's part of our team. And she's like, she's gotten wrecked a couple times in leverage trading. She's like, that's how I learned. I got wrecked. She's like, you know, I was doing too much leverage. I was getting too greedy. I started getting ego. And she's like, I got wrecked, but now that's why she's good at leverage trading. And she's now doing more like scalping type thing. And she's like, she got her bumps and bruises, and now she's doing very, very well because she learned. You know, we learn through ego, right? And a lot of times our ego will teach us lessons. And I think that's what the biggest thing right now is, the message that before we head into DeFi is that, you know, for people out there, you know, Cryptocito, he's an entrepreneur. He's been through many different entrepreneurial journeys in order to get to a successful entrepreneurial journey, as I have, right? For 3 years, I was getting the shit kicked out of me trying to run this online business. I launched this program without the crypto 5 times, and it failed every single time. Every single time. My first time I launched it, I spent thousands of dollars on marketing, everything you could do perfectly, the click funnel, everything. And I launched it, 0 people.
Oh, I think we lost Coach.
There we go. We're back.
You're back?
Yeah, we're back.
I was not sure if it's my if I'm frozen or you. I wasn't sure. I had to check.
Yeah, I think it was my internet, but yeah, what I was saying is just basically you have to be, you know, there's a book I highly recommend that people read called Outliers. It takes 10,000 hours to reach mastery, right? And so what I realized is I got into crypto a lot. I wasn't in 2017. I wasn't in 2018. I got in on the back end of 2019. And so what I did was, to accelerate my timeline, I spend, right, even today, from when I started, 8 to 9 hours of research a day. So I crunched my timeline like this, like someone that has a knowledge of like 3 to 4 to 5 years. I crunched it into a year because I spent so much time obsessively studying it, bringing on people like you that have been in the crypto space for a long time, learning, listening, growing, making mistakes, losing a lot of money. Like I got wrecked in yield farming when I heard about it. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get into it. And I had a whole project that collapsed on me, and I lost a ton of money. And I was like, oh my gosh. But now I can teach people that. I'm like, you know, it's just like gambling. But
yeah, I mean, same for me. I mean, when I started in crypto, you know, I've basically been and done everything and everywhere, right? So I got hacked. I had coins on exchanges that got hacked or that were just exit scamming. I sent funds to the wrong address. I bought a coin that went to zero. I've done everything. So, and I think the more you fail, actually, the more likely you get successful, right? So it's always like that. But yeah, it's the same in crypto. It's the same in anything. Crypto is no different to that. It's also an entire industry. There's also what maybe some people that are really like too focused on crypto don't really understand, because crypto itself is lines of code, right? Like every cryptocurrency is a line of code which is written by the same human beings that have done other things outside of crypto, right? So it's nothing magical from that angle. And I think sometimes we overvalue the innovation of crypto in that sense, right? Because everybody thinks, oh my God, it's this magical thing. But guys, still around 95% in crypto is complete BS, right? It's a scam, and people trying to exploit each other, hack each other, scam each other, right? There's so much negativity and fraud and people trying to find regulatory loopholes, right? There's like so much of that because it's run by the same guys and same human beings that mess up other industries, right? So that's just what it is. But I always try to find and see the positive things in those industries. And I love crypto for the sake that, that I made a lot of friends in that industry. I learned so much. Obviously, it also changed my life, in terms of that I can just travel around the world and work from anywhere, and just have my setup here, my computer, my laptop, and my microphone. So that's pretty cool. But another thing also I wanted to say is that, in order to be consistent and to really go through also in bad times, and we are going to have bear markets in crypto, 100%, we're going to have bear markets. We had a bear market now for 2 months, which, to be honest, is nothing, right? I've been through a 2.5 year bear market. That was hard. 2 months is not hard. So it's easy, and you can still make money in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
But you really have to have this long vision, right? You really have to have this long-term kind of like, view on the space, how blockchain, DLT, DeFi, NFTs, you name it, how all of that is going to change and disrupt our industries, right? And that's why it's very wise to like put 70 to 80% of your time and of your money into the long-term vision, and then 20% you can buy the Shiba Inu top and whatever, but you're not going to get it entirely, So that's also very important.
It's important to understand too, because you keep hearing the things, I'm a TikToker influencer or whatever. And so you get people coming on there and they stitch my videos. I don't get into the negativity. I'm just not into it. I'm like, even if they stitch it, I just laugh at it. But they'll stitch my videos and it's like, they're like, crypto's going to zero. It's going to collapse. If crypto is going to zero right now, as we speak, there's a House committee meeting for the House of Representatives around cryptocurrency and cybersecurity and literally how they can get on board. It's happening right now as you speak. Do you know how many people have watched that? There's 47 people watching it in the world. There's 7 billion people in the world. They know that you're not paying. They know that we're not paying attention. They know that most of the world is watching WAP videos. Most of the world is worried about, the VMAs. Most of the world is worried about whether their sports team is going to come back. As the elites are shifting into this new ecosystem, this new world, like 40% of people within the next 10 to 20 years are going to be replaced by technology. And so say it's to take crypto out of it. If you're looking at your career, you should start to look at technology-based careers. Like within your company, how can you differentiate yourself to be on the technology side of it? So that's one way. I want to give some advice around moving up in a company. If you're in a company right now, be the person who comes up with the idea to innovate so the company can survive this next change, right? That's how you become a leader within your company. But the reason why I brought that up is because DeFi is going to be massive disruptor for the banking industry, right? I'm an ex-banker, and when I see DeFi, all I see is disruption of banks. And all I see is banks. If I was a CEO of a bank right now, I would be feverishly trying to figure out how I can get into this DeFi game or how I can capitalize on this ecosystem of service fees for that ecosystem. Because right now, Basel III is hitting. I think it's June 28th. They literally have to hold physical gold on reserve for riskier assets. Their margins are getting squeezed. That's why Jamie Dimon said banks should be scared shitless of fintech. That's his exact words. They should be scared shitless of fintechs. and DeFi. So you're talking about DeFi Summer. It was funny because I keep hearing this DeFi. I also want to, after we talk about DeFi, I'd like to talk to you about security tokens and see what your thoughts are on security tokens. So that's kind of something that's, buy the rumors, sell the news type thing. But what are your thoughts on DeFi? It seems like it's going to have another boom.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great that you brought up also security tokens in the same sentence, because it's basically the same hype that's going to happen on security tokens is what we see right now on DeFi, right? So those are both two very, very large narratives, and crypto lives off narratives, right? So in 2017, we had the ICO hype, then we had a stablecoin hype, and now we have a DeFi hype, right? Then we had this NFT hype 6 months ago, then we had a meme coin hype, right? So there's always a narrative, and some are short-lived, some are longer term, right? I think DeFi basically blew up in early 2020, I would say.
Yeah.
When it first got big, right? Which is just like 1.5 years ago, like basically nothing. But that's where it first came up. And the whole concept is basically that you can now earn cash flow and put your coins to work for you in a decentralized way by simply locking them up in a smart contract, right? So you don't have counterparty risk, as in you have a company that has control over your funds, like banks, for example, or other financial institutions. However, you lock them up into a smart contract where obviously you have different risks, right? You have the risk that the code is bugging and there's a flaw and somebody can exploit the contract, but you at least don't have this counterparty risk that some sort of like human being manages your funds, right? And can do whatever. So that's basically the whole revolution behind it. And it really blew up in 2020. So we had this first DeFi summer in 2020, which is where Synthetics, Uniswap, Compound, right? All those like big Aave, for example, all those big Ethereum pioneer projects really gained a lot of momentum. And this whole metrics of TVL, which stands for total value locked, which represents the amount of money that is locked in those smart contracts that can be used for lending, like peer-to-peer lending or derivatives or liquidity pools, right? Those are all factors that count or measure the total value locked in a smart contract for DeFi. So that's the number one metrics. But now I think over the past couple of months, it has been a little bit silent around this. Obviously a lot of noise, which we talked about in the very beginning of this video. So much noise, the Shiba Inus and SafeMoon. I remember we talked so much about SafeMoon, right? Yeah. Even they tried to contact you with your large TikTok following. So I'm sure they were offering you crazy amounts of money. So there was so much noise in from those, different directions, which most of them have no fundamental value, but it distracted a lot of people from what actually matters. So yes. I'm actually fine. I'm actually okay now with this last 6 weeks of bearishness, just to wash out this overexcitement and hype. But now I think we're all prepping for DeFi Summer 2.0, right? This time it's on steroids. We have so many more applications from different chains, right? Remember I said earlier, DeFi Summer 2020 was purely Ethereum, right? Which then led to an explosive increase of gas fees on Ethereum, right? I remember, I think if I would look up to now, there's actually a website, it's called, I don't remember how it's called. I think it's called WTF.fees or something like that. And you have to connect with your MetaMask wallet, and it will tell you how much you paid already in fees to the network. And I think I'm over 8 ETH or 7 ETH or something. I don't even want to look it up. Shit. But absolutely crazy. So I remember I paid 150 or 200 bucks in ETH, obviously, per transaction, right? Or to put it in a smart contract. So that was like the peak, when we saw, okay, this Ethereum platform as of today is not scalable. It's not suitable for DeFi, right? Because in DeFi, you need to maybe adjust your liquidity pools or you need to adjust your yield farming strategy, right? So you have to make on-chain transactions, which didn't really make sense at that point, right? Even NFTs, I think that's why also the NFT hype was probably so short-lived, because in order to mint an NFT, you had to pay $1,000 or something, which is crazy, right? So that was not sustainable. But like I said, I mean, right now we have so many other chains that are launching. They're launching their main products, and they start with DeFi because they've seen that works. There's a product market fit. There's a real demand. People want to use it. I think there's right now, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 million, maybe 5 million users around the world, I would say.
Wow.
Just on top of my head, but a couple of million DeFi users that actually want to, generate cash flow by staking, by providing liquidity. And one of my favorite projects that has just launched one of their most innovative product is Cosmos, right? We've talked about this also so much now. And I think Cosmos right now is almost single-handedly igniting that DeFi Summer 2.0, right? So
Wow.
It's wild, man. It's wild what's going on right now. I see a little bit of a reversal in terms of market sentiment over the past week, I would say.
Yeah.
I think we have more or less bottomed out. Of course, there can always be some other black swan, that
Sure.
the US has some crazy law or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think we're pretty much bottomed out. I think it's time to go back up in terms of market capitalizations and prices and all those kind of things. And I think DeFi is going to be another leading narrative for this run, for this bull run, right? That's starting probably now or 1 or 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel it, man. I feel something coming. I was saying July, and then we had the guy, he did Geometria yesterday. It was kind of cool to hear a different perspective. And it was like, he said July 2nd, July 11th, something big. And then September is going to be, there could be something big. He was talking about the Shemitah, and then also they have the Jubilee, which is every 50 years. So there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on this year specifically. But it's like one of the biggest things too, is that what I learned, some lessons I learned, and through you as well, is setting up my exit strategy was really important. One thing I probably would have done a little bit differently during the last little mini bull run we had where we went up is probably would have taken a little bit more off the table, because what if, right? The question is, what if we're in a bear market all the way through, right? So it's okay. I wouldn't mind it. I would still hold long term. I'd keep investing in projects, dollar cost averaging in. But encouragement for everybody, Cryptocito, and make sure you guys go follow his YouTube channel right now, Cryptocito. It's right there. You'll see it under his name if you go to his YouTube channel, Twitter as well. But they taught me. Yeah, you're welcome. He taught me to set up my exit strategy. My exit strategy is strict and literal, and I followed it to the T. Well, obviously, it's kind of gone. It's the market went negative right now, or negative based on my exit strategy. So all I do is hold. I just sit, hold, and accumulate. Sit, hold, and accumulate. And so what that taught me was having a game plan. So when it went red, when there's blood in the streets, I just started stacking. And now I'm starting to go up again. So I'm slowing it down. I went back to my dollar cost averaging, right? So just if I have cash coming in, liquidity, I put it into crypto. And it's very important to do that as well. And then as the market goes up, as you're pulling, so I think what I would have done a little bit different is pulled a little bit more cash off the table. But I want to thank you for that. I always do thank you for that. I go back because that exit plan changed the whole game plan for me, because before that, I was just doing it in my head. You have to have a game plan, man. I mean, you just have to have a game plan. And I think that's where a lot of people get frustrated, as they came into the market 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, and all of a sudden their portfolio is 50% down, right? And they're like, what the hell is going on? Well, you had no game plan as you came in, right? So you're like, I'm just going to get rich in crypto. That's not the right mentality, right? It's like you're investing in, like, as you talk about DeFi, what I hopefully people will understand is what you're investing in is a new infrastructure of our financial system. That's basically what you're investing in if you really look at it, right? If you're really looking at it at a very 30,000 foot overview, futuristic view, this is the way that banking is going to go. That's why Jamie Dimon built his own JPM coin. That's why Warren Buffett, which was crazy when he invested into that digital company. I was like, I knew somehow he was going to get into he's not going to get into, he won't say he's buying Bitcoin, but he's buying into DeFi companies, I mean, that tells you, so somebody that's like almost 90 years old that called people gold bugs, got into gold last year, right? And so there's big shifts happening. Ray Dalio, buying he admitted he's in Bitcoin, and there's all kinds of things happening. So where do you feel like we're in the market right now? Do you think we're going to start going back up? Because people keep asking me, is it over? Is it over? And I'm not a technical analysis person. I don't even look at technical analysis. I'm fundamental. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. And you said it earlier, you brought it up. July seems to be a big month. And I'm going to tell you why it's going to be a huge month is because of EIP-1559. EIP-1559 stands for Ethereum Improvement Proposal 1559, right? Number 1559. So that's a huge deal, right? And I remember we talked about the Bitcoin stock to flow model months ago, right? So if you guys recall that, back then we talked about the ratio between the issuance and the supply of new Bitcoins and the demand, right? And the issuance of new Bitcoins is programmed, right? So every 4 years, you have the Bitcoin halving, which is that event where the issuance of new Bitcoin cuts in half, right? So basically the supply cuts in half, which has a logical consequence that if we assume demand remains stable, price has to go up, right?
Yep.
Supply and demand, less supply, stable demand, price has to go up, right? Value goes up. So what Ethereum is doing on, I think it's July 14th is the implementation.
Wow.
It says already passed, right? It's not doing the Bitcoin halving thing. It's actually doing the equivalent of a triple of 3 Bitcoin halving in one upgrade, right? Which is nuts. There's calculations out there that compare this Ethereum improvement proposal to the Bitcoin halving, right? And all you got to do is just go back into the Bitcoin chart from May 2020. That's when the last Bitcoin halving happened, and see what happened 4, 5, 6 weeks after that halving, right? Price went through the roof, right?
Yes.
Price went through the roof. So I think we're going to see something very similar on Ethereum. I think, again, it's going to be Ethereum that will push Bitcoin to higher highs and new all-time highs, like it did in 2017, where Ethereum had this huge use case with ICOs, right, which draw so much attention, millions of people into crypto that first bought their Bitcoins and then maybe looked into Ethereum. But that overall hype was fueled by Ethereum, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see a very similar thing now, but this time maybe even from institutions, because that makes a very strong case for institutional investors to look into a coin or any financial investment asset that has, how you call it, asymmetric risk, right? So you actually have a very high upward potential, but low risk, right? And we're still 45, 50% below the Ethereum all-time highs.
Wow.
With such a large technical implementation coming up in just 2 weeks. I mean, guys, that's a no-brainer.
That's crazy. You know what's funny? I said we have our meet and greet in Vegas on July 17th, and I told my team, I said, I was kind of half kidding. I was like, we're all going to be millionaires on our way to Vegas. But then you said that, I was like, man, I might be right, man. I might, because I'm heavy in Ethereum, man, big time in Ethereum.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I think, everybody is looking on this now, at least those that are like deep in crypto. I'm sure all those SafeMoon and Shiba Inu fans, they don't even have a clue what that even is, that improvement proposal. But I think in a very short term, like say 1 or maybe 2 weeks after the implementation, I think nothing is going to happen. And then everybody is going to be like, oh man, we're all disappointed now. Nothing happens. See, blah, blah, blah. But then I think, slowly and steadily prices will go up, and it's going to be wild, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Ethereum is going to be the ultra scarce crypto asset, the most scarce, even scarcer than Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin has an inflation of 1.8% right now. I think Ethereum is going to have less than that, maybe even negative. Maybe it's even going to be deflationary sooner than we think. So that's bullish as hell, right? So that's crazy. I mean, and obviously a rising tide lifts all ships, right? If Ethereum goes up in value, other altcoins will also go up in value for 2 reasons. The first one is most altcoin pairs are trading against Ethereum, right? So if the Ethereum value goes up, those coins also go up. And the second one is simply if people buy ETH and people get enthusiastic about it, it's launching this hype cycle yet again, right? So I think that's what's going to happen. I can be completely wrong and we go to zero, right? This happens all the time.
Sure.
It's risky, of course, but I'm pretty positive, like 80-90% positive that this bull run is not over. I mean, I think we're just like, having a major correction, bottom out, and I think we're ready for the next leg up.
Yeah, I agree. And there's just so much, like somebody said in here, I mean, the news is unbelievable. All the FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Like, a good example was when UK, everybody's, they immediately put out UK's banning crypto. That's not what they said. It had nothing to do with banning crypto. It was more, if you read deeper into the document, they weren't talking about banning crypto off Binance. I'm talking about Binance, sorry. The Binance news that came out. And so the people, you got to be careful with the news. They're creating fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's like, so what a news station's job is to do, just like a crypto YouTuber, just like a YouTuber, clickbait. It's clickbait. I mean, they're clickbaiting people into watching your channel. Unfortunately, that's like on TikTok. My TikToks that go to 100,000 to 1 million views, it's a clickbait thing. It's like, hey guys, XRP will make you a millionaire. Everybody wants to know how to be a millionaire. It's wild, but that's predictive programming. That's how they programmed our minds to react. It's you always, when you see something like that, do not make financial decisions based on a YouTuber or a bit of news. Like go like the Binance thing. I got a bunch of messages this weekend. Did you hear Binance shutting down crypto? And I looked and I'm like, they're not shutting down crypto. It had something to do with the stock and the way they were, it's something with a stock regulation or something like that, which had zero to do with your crypto portfolio. And so that's a great example of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And then the China mining, as you dive a little bit deeper into it, it's interesting that the Americas, the USA narrative is, Texas is ramping up to be one of the biggest cryptocurrency friendly states, man. They are ramping up. Wyoming, Texas, Miami. What was the other one? Can't think of the other one, but Texas is ramping up, man. They're trying to it's so interesting to see how people say America's going to shut down crypto when we're trying to become the crypto hub, man.
Yeah, Texas is the new China, I think. So, but yeah, I mean, one thing to that message that you just said is that, I mean, Binance, mining, all those large companies in crypto, whether it's other exchanges or large, whatever it is, right? We want to get rid of them anyways, right? We don't want to depend on Binance for the rest of our lives, right? Binance is just a necessary evil right now because decentralized exchanges are not as widely adopted yet. But the future is going to be decentralized, right? That's what our ideology is. That's what we're fighting for, right? So can you shut down Ethereum? Can you shut down Cosmos? Can you shut down decentralized peer-to-peer networks that run on tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, hopefully in the future, different computers around the world, maybe satellites in space? You can't shut that down, right? Yeah. So to me, actually, when I hear, okay, Binance has another, regulatory hurdle to overcome, like, I don't care. I mean, let them ban them from my case, just ban them. Like, we don't want them anyways, right? Yeah. I mean, and also the whole mining thing, it's great that we have it now behind us, and the news came out and they're actually really shipping out all their mining devices from China. It's great that it's happening now, right? Because we don't want to have 80% of the hash rate on Bitcoin in China for the rest of our lives, right? We want to have it everywhere. We want to have it in El Salvador with volcano energy. Then we want to have it in Venezuela and in Colombia. We want to have it in Africa, right? We want to have it all around the world. So I think, short term, those things might be hurtful for the price, but long term, it's great for decentralization points, right? So I think it's rather a net positive than a net negative. But I think a lot of people get maybe scared too fast, right? And then they panic sell or whatever. So, but don't do that. That's what I said again, like we talked earlier. Long-term vision is really what matters. And if you understand that we need to decentralize every single aspect and that you can't shut down decentralized networks, you're much more chilled.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because people get this. I get this all the time. They're like, can't they just take away our crypto? Can't they just take away our crypto? I'm like, no. How would they? I'm trying to figure out you just explained it. I mean, it's like they can't just walk in there. Like, government can just take your crypto. They can't just take your crypto. It's not that easy. That's why they're getting involved in it. I just did a video yesterday where I was watching, again, like 50 people were watching this video. I think it was the Dallas Fed it was a government official who used to work for the IMF, and he was talking about cryptocurrencies. He was talking about stable coins, and he was talking about central bank digital currency, CBDCs. And he's basically like, hey, listen, we can't beat them, so we're going to join them. That's basically what he was saying. He's like, we can't beat them, so we're going to join them. What he's saying is we're not going to be able to shut these things down. They're already out there. They're going to continue to grow. So we're going to get a CBDC going so we can get part of the pie. That's basically what it is. The CBDC is to get them in the game, to move the money across those rails, right? So they can be part of the ecosystem. What happens in new disruptive technology is first they resist it, the government resists it, or people resist it, then they sue it, then they regulate it, and then they join it. Basically, that's what happens, right? Right?
Yeah, and I mean, the European Central Bank, the ECB, they literally published multiple papers now over the past weeks and months, explaining Polkadot, explaining Cosmos. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, maybe, there's something valuable in those decentralized networks. Maybe we should at least analyze them. And like you said, CBDCs are going to be huge, right? I think 86% of all central banks around the world. There's a big survey from the Bank of International Settlements, the BIS. They should actually remove the I, by the way. But they are just they made surveys, and I think the most recent one said that 80%, 86% of the major central banks, not just a few central banks, like they asked a lot of central banks that make, I think, more than 90% of all the GDP around the world, and they all said that they're working on wholesale CBDCs, right, or retail CBDCs, which basically means that the central bank replaces commercial banks, right?
Yes,
in the future, we're gonna be like in the Bahamas or like in China today, right, where they already have this application, which is from the central bank. So in Europe, from the ECB, you guys in the US, you have it from the Fed, right? They're gonna release an app and they say, hey, this is your new wallet, this is your new money.
Yep.
They will incentivize people to use it, maybe even internationally. So we're gonna have probably an international war of currencies and money, digital money. But I think that's a whole different parallel universe that goes along with crypto, right? So we're still in a crypto train. That's not crypto, right? They're probably going to integrate some blockchains because, like you said, they have no other option. You can't shut it down. You can't force people not to use it, right? I think our planet still works somehow democratic enough maybe to not be able to force people to not use technology anymore, right? Like we had 100 years ago where the state was literally forcing people to give their gold back to the state, right? Back to the government. I think we're past those times. And it's all about onboarding the first billion users. If we have 1 billion users that understand decentralized networks, it's too late. They can't do anything, right? Even probably 100 million is already enough. So I think, we're heading that way.
One thing you talked about too is like that I keep telling people, man. I was in the banking system when I found documents that show that where the central bank is explaining what 3 different models would look like. The first model had commercial banks in it. The other 2 did not have commercial banks in it. It literally had us skipping the commercial banks, going straight to the central bank and straight to an intermediary, basically that's moving the currency, like you said, like sending over to euro or sending it from US to euro. And it literally is the commercial bank wasn't even in the picture during the diagram, right? And so, well, that's why I keep telling people central or commercial banks have to get involved with this system. They have to get involved. So they're going to be customer service banks. They're going to custody your cryptocurrency. They're going to have they already have in America a bill passed where they hold your FedNow wallet. So they're going to basically be custodying your cryptocurrency. That's what they're going to do. They're going to be customer service banks. So you'll be able to call up a Wells Fargo and be like, hey, listen, I lost my wallet or I lost my keys. And you can actually go into a bank. That's basically what they're going to be. And that's why I'm worried about these smaller banks, and that's like a Blockbuster moment for them, man. Blockbuster, the company, right? Because if they don't innovate into this, if they don't have the leadership and the capital to innovate into this, then they are going to perish within the next 10 to 15, 25 years, in my opinion.
100% agree. I mean, that's one thing. This from the current and the other DeFi, right? And some banks are actually adopting DeFi and embrace it. So they're basically creating this term institutional DeFi, or however you want to call it, CDeFi, centralized DeFi, right? So they're basically using decentralized protocols to kind of like be a middleman to offer it to their clients, right? So they have custodial solutions for DeFi protocols or whatever. So that's one smart business model which they can embrace. And some banks and hedge funds and family offices, they already do that, or at least think about it. I think that's also potentially going to be one of the catalysts for this DeFi summer, because all it takes is one large fund to say, oh, we're going to put 50 million into protocol A or B or whatever, right? Whatever you want. So I think this is a hybrid, but a lot of banks, like you say, they don't get it. I mean, especially small banks. I think about Germany. I have my bank, the Sparkasse Germany or Volksbank in Germany. Like these guys are, I don't know what they're up to, but it seems like they're, and they will have a very hard time over the next 10, 15 years. Obviously, that's a longer process, right? You also have regulatory frameworks that have to be built out. And then also the whole tech stack, right? How it's going to be integrated into this running economy. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely here to stay. And I think for you as a listener now, the sooner you get involved and understand this and also play around with these DeFi protocols, the more you will benefit from it in the longer run, right? So that's probably the best you can do right now.
Yeah. What are some of your top DeFi projects that you're looking at?
Yeah. So after I got sick, I've always been a big Cosmos fan because the idea of Cosmos is basically to connect all blockchains, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, for example, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they are both sole isolated blockchains, right? They're like islands on the sea. So there's no bridge in between, right? So Cosmos aims to become a base layer underneath that connects all of those sovereign blockchains. That's a very hard mission, obviously. It's basically trying to become the TCP/IP of blockchains, of the Internet of Blockchains. But they have just launched actually 11 days ago, which, by the way, was my birthday. On my birthday, literally, on the 19th of June. Thanks. On the 19th of June, they have launched the first cross-chain decentralized exchange on Cosmos, which is called Osmosis. And I want everybody who holds Atom now to listen very carefully. If you held Atom, right, which is the coin of Cosmos, before February 18th, 2021, in self-custody, meaning not on an exchange, not on Kraken, not on Binance, not on Coinbase, but in a wallet like Exodus, like Kepler, like Cosmos Station, you are eligible for one of the largest airdrops that we ever had in crypto, right? So last year around this time, I think it was in August or something, we had this massive Uniswap airdrop, right? Where anybody who had even a failed transaction on Uniswap received 400 Unicoins for free, Unitokens, right? Which in the peak was, I think, around $18,000 or $20,000. And this time, the Osmosis guys, that's what the platform is called in Cosmos, they did something that they call a fair drop. So it's proportional to how many Atom did you hold on February 18th. You get more or less Osmo tokens for free. And I know some people have made 2 months worth of salaries just from that one airdrop, right? So it's absolutely crazy. So please, if you listen to this and you held Atom before February 18th, that's when the snapshot took place, check osmosis.zone and see if you're eligible for that airdrop. So that's one platform that I'm using right now, and I'm excited about it and super bullish about it. And there's just so much coming out on Cosmos. I mean, they're going to launch the Gravity DEX on July 12th, which is another Uniswap equivalent on Cosmos. And I think especially if you're early in those farms and pools, right, that's where you have the highest rewards. So it's always like the earlier you join that, the earlier you get involved, the more you might benefit from it, right?
Right.
So I'm anticipating those things. Everything that's launching on Cosmos, I'm extremely bullish. And again, like I know a lot of people are making a lot of money right now in Cosmos by yield farming, providing liquidity, farming Osmo, right? So yeah, that's right now the most bullish project that I have. But I think again, Ethereum itself, with the EIP-1559 implementation in July 14th, that's going to be absolutely huge, and probably also revive Ethereum DeFi. So yeah, that's my biggest bets right now, my biggest anticipations and platforms that I'm mostly excited about.
Awesome. What's your biggest concerns right now in crypto? Anything you're concerned about, like coin-wise, or any narratives you're concerned about?
I mean, I don't know. It's pretty much all priced in, I think, right? So we had this China FUD, and we had a regulatory FUD. We still have to date a lot of exploits left and right and hacks, So right now, there's nothing that I think is going to shock us. Maybe if I were to really have to think hard about one thing, maybe I would think about a collapse of the traditional markets, stock markets and those kind of things. Because we've seen that in 2020, in March 13th, when we had this liquidity crash and stocks were in a free fall, so was Bitcoin, right? It dropped from 10K to 3K in 2 days or something. So the question is, how correlated are we still to traditional finance? Is crypto already mature enough? Are we standing on our own feet? that's a concern that I'm not 100% sure in the short term. I think in the long term, 100%, we are growing and getting there. But I don't know if in the short term, and we still have very low productivity in most countries, right? Due to COVID, right? We have the 75th lockdown now in Germany. Here in Portugal, they're talking about the 112th lockdown. Like everyone's like, I don't know, it's lockdown after lockdown after lockdown. People are trying to survive financially. So that's sooner or later. And all this printing that went on, I mean,
crazy.
It has not really yet been priced into the inflation, I think, I mean, and they're already warning us. So that's maybe one concern,
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like people don't realize because people aren't watching this. They're warning us. They're letting us know what's happening. They're telling you what's coming. They're letting you know, man, the liquidity is going to dry up and eventually something has to collapse, right? And that's why I think, that's my personal opinion, but that's why I know that behind the scenes, the richest people in the world, they're moving over to the digital, they're moving over to crypto, they're moving over to fintech, because when it collapses, they want to be in these assets. So because they know that people are going to then they're going to be like, hey, crypto's everything. And everybody's going to come rushing in, right? And then it's going to be just the biggest shift in generational wealth. It's going to be a massive shift in generational wealth, man.
Yeah, and then just imagine if there was one asset around the world that we knew of today that has a supply shock coming up in roughly 2.5 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, I believe it, man.
Might be wise to allocate some, right?
yeah, I feel it, man. I feel it. I really feel it. It's funny because I did tell my warriors that so they can confirm that. I was like, on our way to Vegas for the meet and greet, some of us are going to be millionaires, man, multi-millionaires, which is going to be amazing. So where are you? So right now you're in Portugal. You're back in you're in Portugal.
I'm in the capital of Portugal. Yes.
Nice. How's it going out there?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, when I got sick, it was. I was just at home, and you can't go out, obviously, but and it was really a hard time because it's so beautiful here. The weather is amazing, it's like 30 degrees Celsius every single day. So I don't know how much it is in Fahrenheit, but it's beautiful, right? Beaches are 25 minutes away. You can have everything here. It's super authentic. The city, also the architecture of the buildings here.
Wow.
It's a very unique place, I would say, and I like the ambiente here. I like the vibes here. The food is next level, seafood. I told you I love seafood, and the amount of fish and whatever you can have here is amazing. So still waiting for you to come down here, man.
Guess what? I got my passport. It came yesterday. My passport. Wow. Yes, I'm coming, man. I'll figure it out. I'll fly out there and just let me know what days are best. I'll fly out there. Weekdays are good for me. I don't know what your weekdays are like, but that'd be cool. We could do this live, man. We could do a bunch of YouTube videos.
Yeah, it would be fun, man.
Yeah, so that'd be cool, man. We'll take the crypto show.
I would look like a straw next to you, I'm sure, but
the camera makes me look like a lot bigger than I really am. The camera adds 10 pounds, man. So
no, I gotta go to the gym now again. So from tomorrow, I'm gonna train hard so that I'm ready when you come. I don't look like a straw.
Hey, so somebody's asking Alex. So the crypto he was talking about this kind of supply shock is going to be Ethereum on July 15th, correct?
July, I think 14th. Don't quote me on that, but 14th, and it's going to have a supply shock because they're implementing a different fee model, right? Mm-hmm. So right now, the way that you find your fee on Ethereum is basically supply and demand, right? But in the future, with this implementation on July 14th, there's going to be a base fee which makes up the largest part of the transaction fee, which then gets burned. Means that it gets sent to an address that nobody controls, right? So it gets burned, taken out of the supply. Means that the more activity you have on Ethereum chain, the more scarce it gets, right?
Wow.
Because you burn more ETH. Obviously, on the counter side, there's also an inflation rate of new Ethereum. Also, they're switching to proof of stake. So the inflation rate is increasing, but at the same time, you're burning, right? And the more you use it, the more you burn. So there's wild calculations out there that make a huge case for Ethereum for institutional investors, right? And we've seen MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, these guys, ARK Invest, they've bought boatloads of BTC because of it being sound money and scarce money, right? Mm-hmm. But Ethereum is going to be ultra sound money. So let's see. I mean, it's all set, and the utility of ETH in terms of DeFi implementations and applications is not comparable to Bitcoin. So I'm more bullish on Ethereum than I am on Bitcoin, and I think it has the potential to really launch and ignite this next bull run, the DeFi summer.
That'd be awesome. So you're still confident in the bull run?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's the number one question I get. Everybody's like, it's over. I don't feel like it's over at all, man. I feel like we're just getting started. I mean, I can feel, I'm a very aligned person spiritually, and I do put a lot of work into that. I can feel it. Like even when it collapsed 6 weeks ago or whatever you want to call that, I didn't even flinch. I was like, this is just part of it. To me, it feels like a bow and arrow. They're pulling it back. They're pulling it back. They're pulling it back. And then they're just going to let that thing go, man. But I think people, in my opinion, you got to be ready when they let that thing go, and you got to have a game plan, man. You have to have a game plan, unless you're holding long term and you don't care about pulling profits. But once that bow and arrow gets let go, that's when the profits are coming, right? And so the big institutions are going to start pulling those profits, man. So you got to be ready for that.
And plus, on top of that, with DeFi, which is all that we talked about today, you can hedge your speculative risk, right? Because say you buy today and the price drops by 20% over the next 12 months, but you have staking rewards or yield farming rewards of 15%, you net down 5% only, right? So you're basically hedging the speculation risk here and the volatility with DeFi, because you can generate cash flow, right? You earn more coins from the protocol. So that's why it's highly recommended to pull off all your coins, at least those coins that already have running DeFi applications that are robust, that are audited, right? Make sure it's secure, move them off centralized exchanges and throw them into the contract and just hold on, right? Hold. It's going to be probably profitable. So
yeah, that's awesome. We've took an hour of your time already. Anything else you'd like to share? I know we're going to come back next week. Anything else you'd like to share? Anything new?
Yeah, I mean, I really encourage everybody to tune in to our Wednesday episodes every week, because you can also basically track our sentiment, right? And maybe in 3.5 months from now, when Bitcoin is at 150K, both of us are extremely excited and we get overly bullish and we say, oh, it's going to 1 million now. So I want everybody who is watching today to keep in mind how we talk today, how enthusiastic we are, so that when these times come, that you can tell us, like, guys, I think it's time to sell, right? Like, please keep track of us, make sure that we're not getting too excited here. But I think it's a lot of value, and always great to connect also with you guys. I know a lot of people from your community are reaching out to me. I really appreciate that. So yeah, thanks also for your time, man.
Yeah, how can we find you? So I know I gave you a little shout out, but how can they find you?
Best on YouTube, Cryptocito, like here, like it's written here, and also on Twitter. So those are my two main things. I also have a Telegram group. I actually just rebranded it from Cryptocito's Army. I rebranded it now to Cryptocito's Friends. So
I like that.
It's Cryptocitos and then _FRENS, right? It's like crypto people say friends like that, it's a stupid thing, but whatever. So you can join us there. We talk a lot about DeFi and Cosmos, obviously, because that's what I spend most time researching about. And happy to connect.
Yeah, awesome, guys. And reminder, we got our meet and greet in Las Vegas. So Kevin and I will be in Vegas. That's coming up quick in like 15 days, July 17th, Circle Hotel and Pool from 11 to 4 o'clock. So that's going to be a blast. We'll be down there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then now I have my passport, and I'll be heading out to Portugal to see Cryptocito. That'll be a great time. So we'll have some fun out there. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you guys all for your support. We'll be back next Wednesday. If there's any topics you'd like us to cover, just send us a message and we can work on covering those topics. We love you guys, and we always say, Warriors, rise.